Not sure if we're on yet or not.
We are, but this is where I like to shameless self-promote and hey guys, I'm sharing y'all on Facebook right now. So when I'm not looking at you, it's because I want other people to watch.
We're getting on.
Shameless self-promotion.
So glad y'all have joined us tonight for our first Faith in a World of Chaos night. We'll get started here in about 5 minutes. So feel free to share this on your page as well if you're watching us on Facebook. So your friends can watch and learn from the amazing Pastor Sarah as well. And we'll get started here in just a minute. Hi, Rainey. We're glad you're here.
There we go. You can hear me now.
Hello.
Sorry, I had you on mute. I was trying to talk to you mute.
Oh, that's okay. In about 5 minutes, we'll have you go back on mute when we get started, but I'm so glad you're here.
Okay, thank you for having me. It's nice to meet you, Sarah.
It's nice to meet you, Rainey.
You don't know my family yet. They're Justin and Andrea, and then the kids are Landry and Campbell and Nolan. Those are my nephews and my niece. Hopefully you get to meet them in person. I want to meet you in person too, but if you see not bald-headed, but he's my brother. He always wears a hat. He's got a UK hat on. I got my UK on that I usually have TCU on. So if you ever see me on here, I usually have a TCU stuff on.
It's always good stuff to wear, TCU stuff.
Yeah, the campus store is awesome. We've been there a lot.
Folks are joining us on Facebook. Welcome. We're glad you're coming. We're glad you're here. We'll get started here at 7:30. But we're so glad you're here to join us as we get to know Pastor Sarah and talk about what it looks like to be faithful people in our world today.
Mm.
We're glad y'all are joining us. Hi, Tristan. Hi, Lavonda. Hi, Chris. Glad y'all are here. You win the Getting Here Early award. Hey, Catherine. Glad you're here with us. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Heather. We're so glad y'all are here. Thanks for joining us for our first Faith in a World of Chaos night. Hey, Suzanne. We got the whole Kerr family on. Rainey, I'm going to turn your camera off while we're doing this, if you don't mind. Thanks. Those of you who are just joining us, if you all want to share this on your Facebook page, that way we can help more people kind of figure out what it looks like to be faithful people today and to get to know the amazing Pastor Sarah. Hey, Chris, we're glad you're here. My outdoor videos happen so I don't wake up a sleeping toddler, but I'm glad y'all like the outdoor videos. Hi, Christy. Hi, Mark. Glad y'all are here. Hi, Heather. Well, it looks like it is 7:30, so we'll get started. Welcome, everyone. We are so thrilled you are here. My name is Reverend Allison Lanza. I'm one of the pastors at Ridglea Christian Church, and this is something new we're trying in this time. This is our very first night of our new Facebook Live series, Faith in a World of Chaos. We decided that what being faithful looks like right now, what it looks like to be the church right now, what new normal, what new beloved community of God we're creating, it's all up in the air right now. So why not bring in some of the smartest, most faithful, most justice-seeking, most loving people we know to help us think through what that looks like. And an added benefit is because all of church is happening online right now, or a lot of it is happening remotely. We can get people from all over the country, all over the world to come and share with us and help us think through. So we're so glad you're here with us as we ask these questions. Just so you know, it's going to work. We'll ask each of our guests each week different questions. Tonight, our guest is the phenomenal Reverend Sarah Almanza. She is our new interim senior pastor here at Ridglea, and so we wanted to start with her so you all could all get to know her as well. So I'll be asking her some questions, but if you have questions for her or questions about what it looks like to be a faithful people today, ask. Put it on our Facebook comments, and we'll be watching and talking together. And so please ask so we can include those in. But we're so glad you're here. This is a time we're all called to live our faith in new ways and also really old and ancient ways, but powerful ways. The world needs right now what the church and what God has to offer. The world needs love, it needs justice, it needs hope. And so I am so glad we can together figure out how we do that. Pastor Sarah, welcome. We're so glad you're here.
It's so good to be here.
Do you want to start by just telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am Sarah Almanza. I am a resident of Dallas, Texas, living specifically in Deep Ellum, which I love. I live with my spouse, Evan, and we've got our 2 dogs. We've got sweet girl, Chloe, who is a pit terrier mix. She's like 10 years old and just sweet as can be. And then we're fostering a dog who is 2, and he's a blue heeler, Bruce, and he is our pouncy bouncy dog. And we just, love our little place here in Deep Ellum. We love going out and pre-quarantine and watching live music and enjoying like city life. I am also a bartender, which is a lot of fun. Or I'm currently a furloughed bartender, but that's an interesting thing that a lot of people, if you know me, you know that's what I do. I love doing it. I love that it's very similar ministry to congregational ministry. You get to serve people, you get to listen to stories, and treat people with dignity and respect. So that's always a lot of fun. And I am, in addition to being an interim minister here at Ridglea, I also am a freelance minister, and that's kind of I don't know. I just was like, this sounds like a good title to give myself. But with my freelance ministry work, I do a variety of things, from guest speaking and preaching to some curriculum writing and teaching, some assessments, and consulting work as well. So that's a little bit about me. I do a lot of different things to keep me busy.
I love it. I think you're right. I think bartending and being probably pretty similar. They're both about gathering people around the table and sharing love and kindness and hearing stories. So what an amazing way to combine your ministry. Share with us a little bit about what you're passionate about. What gets you energy?
Oh, I am passionate about so many things. And so I want to start with, let's start with church passion and my faith. I am so passionate about people finding love. And I'm talking more like on a cosmic or divine level, something great and bigger than us. I want people to know they're loved and learn that there are ways that they can share love. For me, I learned about that love through the life and ministry of Jesus, who taught me more and continues to teach me more and more about God and God's vastness and mystery and this love that is so much bigger than I can comprehend. So that I am like, that is the foundation of my ministry and my calling and my faith is it's all about love. And wanting people to know more about that. Outside of that, I am a huge Harry Potter nerd, very specifically like Harry Potter, not necessarily like the wizarding world. I appreciate the rest of the wizarding world, but leave my area of expertise pretty specifically to Harry Potter.
I just caught up with the rest of the world last year or 2 years ago and read Harry Potter for the first time, and it's so good. So I'm glad I can now join you in your passions.
Well, welcome. Oh, so I've read the books many times. I've seen all the movies many times. Books are definitely better than the movies. But that's something I'm super passionate about.
Awesome. These days for me, for many of us, I think it's hard to find inspiration. Everything seems the same every day, and everything also seems hugely challenging and hard. So where are you finding inspiration these days? What's feeding your spirit?
Well, I'll continue on my little Harry Potter excitement train there. I have been listening to Harry Potter and the Sacred Text podcast. It is a podcast I picked up probably about a year ago or so and really like dived into it and loved it and enjoyed it, and then kind of took a break from it. And now that I've been in, I guess in isolation or stay at home or whatever word you want to use, I find myself struggling to do things that require much like focus and attention. Like I love reading, but I'm struggling to read a lot. And so I have been listening to podcasts while I piddle around the house and do whatever it is I'm doing. And so I just find such inspiration from this podcast. I actually listened to an episode earlier today on helplessness as they were going through the start of book 6, I believe. And it just inspired me because I totally understand those moments of feeling helpless right now in the middle of a global pandemic.
I have never felt helpless like I have these last couple months for our world, for all of it. So yeah, that's a powerful word for us.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of that, kind of moving into the heart of what we're going to talk about tonight, the role of the church is shifting. So what do you believe the role of the church is right now and can be in this time in our chaotic world? I think the church has a lot to offer our world right now, but a lot of us are actively living into that, and a lot of us are saying, well, just wait till it goes back to normal. But I think we have a role right now as the church to speak right now into our world. So what do you believe the role of our church is?
So I think the role of the church is changing faster than I think some of us are comfortable with, myself included. I love the comfort that comes with the familiar, but it's quickly changing into what needs to be a brave space of challenging the norm of voices that we have as church to speak for justice, to speak about hope. I think the church is hope is such a foundation of faith and such an important part of what church is all about. And so we need to be bravely and boldly speaking about hope in ways we've probably never thought of before or imagined speaking about hope before, because we're not returning to the same, and that means being brave and bold to speak things that are hard, to speak challenging truths, to lift up the injustices that we're seeing right now, that people are living out. Who knew, or I guess we all knew that we had a broken system around us, that we were living in a world that has all of these fragments, but it's so much more clear and so much more in our face, seeing how things are changing, and seeing the great, like we're getting, how's the best way to put this? Like the injustices of the world are just becoming so much more prevalent. Poverty, hunger, lack of access to resources. And now it's time to speak boldly on these things and advocate for everybody to have shelter, to have food, to have access to healthcare, to have livable wages. And that's a big task for the church to do. But I think we are filled with hope. We are people of hope, and we need to be sharing that with others through our words and actions going forward.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've heard people talk about this time as kind of, it's the apocalypse, which is a word I think we're using to say, oh, it's the end of the world. But the apocalypse, we know really means a revealing. Apocalypse means a revealing. And I think you're exactly right. I think this time has revealed for us where the cracks are, has revealed for us what's really broken. And what a great opportunity for us now as the church, especially as the disciples of Christ Church, that movement for wholeness in a fragmented world, to say, look, the fragments are obvious now to everyone. The brokenness is obvious now to everyone. So let's partner with God and make this world whole again for everybody. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's really showed us that. And now's our time to be brave. Mm-hmm. As faithful people, what's your word of challenge for us? What do you think our calling is kind of as individuals right now in this place?
Yeah, it goes back into leaning into that braveness and that boldness and asking ourselves that question of just because we can doesn't mean we should.
Amen.
And I know that is a question that churches are having. That is a question that families and individuals are having. That is a question small businesses and big business and corporations are having. Like, we can open, we can go back to being in in-person community together, but should we? Mm-hmm. It's, that's a big question to ask. That's a hard question to ask. We are asking people who have spent days, weeks, months in isolation that creates a trauma on some level, on a lot of levels. We're asking people to make these really big decisions in these really hard conditions. I want to go and have a cookout with my family. I want to hug and kiss my family. Mm-hmm. But should we? We can. But should we? That's, right now, it's not right. It's not the right thing for me and my family. We have these discussions. And what's right for my family and my life isn't necessarily right for the next person. I think that's what complicates this challenge of just because we can doesn't mean we should, is that there's not one clear-cut right answer. And what is right for one person isn't necessarily what's right or best for others. It's a really big question that we have to assess on every level, and also recognize the privilege that many of us have by being able to ask that question. Just because we can go out doesn't mean we should. Mm-hmm. But not all of us can say, I'm going to stay at home. I'm going to stay isolated. Some of us have to go out. We've had people the whole time, essential workers have been out in the population this whole time. And as we see these restrictions lifting, you're going to see more and more people going out and more people who don't have that choice to stay home. Mm-hmm. So when you do have that privilege to make a choice, we really need to be the ones asking the hard questions of just because we can, should we?
Yeah. That's a good word of challenge. And I think a question we're all wrestling with is what we have freedom. So what do we do with that freedom now? How do we, as Christians, as faithful people, we're called to make the choice that's the most loving for our neighbor. So what does that look like right now? And now it's not being enforced on us. Now it's ours to choose. Right. And those are hard questions to ask and to figure out what that looks like.
Yeah.
We're never going to go back to normal. Which, as you said, is probably good, because this time has revealed for us a lot of the brokenness that was in our old normal. But as church, as people of faith, along with God, we get to help create what the new world looks like, what the new normal looks like. What do you hope the new normal looks like? How do you hope we can make it look more like God's beloved community?
I have so much hope that we can take the generosity we have seen throughout this time and live it out in some new and wonderful ways. I have seen so much care and compassion in places I never expected. I have seen people reach out to their neighbors in ways that they never have before, whether that's, checking on your elderly neighbor and seeing if you need to go buy groceries for them because you're going to the grocery store. You might as well as also buy them something so they don't have to risk their lives going to the grocery store. Or whether that's making sure people have masks to wear as they go in public, whether that's people who have had to be in public this whole time or people who need to go run their quick errands, making sure that we all have the opportunity to be as safe as possible. I've shared this story in a couple different places, but I'm part of a service industry group on Facebook. And I remember a post of someone saying like, hey, I want to celebrate. I finally was able to get my unemployment to go through. I have a little bit extra. I would love to buy a meal for 3 families or something like that. And watching different groups of people just really learn to care for each other and help navigate systems and patiently answer questions and help each other find good and correct and accurate information. So I believe like the generosity that we have seen can just really bloom as we continue forward. And I think the church who believe, like, I believe in an abundant God, I believe in a generous God, like can capture this and help share it with the world. I do believe that.
You're right. Yeah, we don't have to just be these amazing selves in times of crisis. Our country shows up great in times of crisis, but we could just be this generous and kind and helpful and loving our neighbors all the time.
Right.
And what a gift that would be.
Right. And isn't that like the greatest commandment anyway? Is when it comes down, like, love God and love your neighbor. Like, let's just capture that and live that out even more. Let's remember the challenges that we are experiencing now in the way that we are going above and beyond and carry that back into the world that we are going to live in.
Yeah, it's as simple as that and as incredibly impossible as that.
Right.
These times are hard. What word of encouragement do you have for faithful people today? What do you think the good news of God, the gospel news, what is it for us today? What's that good word?
I believe in a God that is with us and experiencing all of this alongside us, is crying when we cry, is bringing comfort when we hurt, is celebrating the moments that we have to celebrate. I think there is hope in that. I believe there is good in that. I believe that as part of the good news is realizing God is with us through this all, and we are not alone. We don't have to experience this time of separation alone. I think there's a lot of good news in realizing God's presence with us during this time.
Yeah, I think in this time of isolation, I felt God's presence maybe more than ever, because in being alone, I had to rely on it in different ways. I didn't have to fall back on it before. I could quickly, easily before be with a friend, hang out with someone, go see one. And this time, there's a song, I can't remember who it's by, but it says, I've been meaning to be leaning on you, about God. And I think I've been meaning to be leaning on God for a long time. And this has drawn me to it in new ways and reminded me of God's presence. Mm-hmm. What's giving you life these days?
Well, I think the presence idea is something that actually gives me life. I've realized that I am able to connect with people, even if it's digitally, in more intentional and thoughtful ways. Like I look forward to meeting my friends for coffee or going to brunch or all the various things that we do throughout our lives. And now we are having to really intentionally and thoughtfully make time for one another. Whereas it was easy to just put a spot on a calendar. Now we're juggling so many different things, or and maybe what we're juggling is just the overwhelmingness of isolation that makes us want to continue to like further isolate even, but having to set that aside sometimes and make connections with others. I have found so much joy in being able to see people on screen or even over the phone or text message or in letters. I think the intentionality for me has given me a lot of life of making sure that I continue to connect with others. I have also, I try to appreciate this time that we are in our home together. My spouse and I live very opposite schedules, and now we're together 24/7. And and I want to find joy in that, because I am sure once we go back to our workplaces, our schedules will get just as complicated as they were before. And so just trying to remember, like, this is a time of joy. Like, let me value this even in the challenges of seeing only one other person for 24/7 for months on end. So, and I mean that in a good way, but and then yeah, obviously, right. And I think, like, one of the things that we've been doing is we started streaming online on Twitch and being part of the gaming community. Like, I don't play video games, I am horrible at them, but we play other games that I am less horrible at. And I have just found so much life in that, in a place that I never expected to find community, to find support, to find connection with people that I've never met, people I will probably never meet in real life. But it's been just so life-giving to jump into something brand new that I've never done before, and to create a community within that context. It has just given me so much life.
Absolutely. Thanks. Well, Pastor Sarah, thanks for being here with us tonight. Thanks for being at Ridglea. We're so excited to have you as our interim for these next few months, while our senior pastor, Reverend Russ Boyd, is deployed as an Army chaplain. And so we're so grateful you're here. Those of you who are with us on Facebook or on Zoom, if you have any questions for Pastor Sarah, now's the time to ask. You can type it in the chat box or in the comment section, either one, and we will give her a chance to answer your questions. While you're doing that, if you have any questions, next week we will be joined by Reverend Becca Crevens. She is the pastor at Foothills Christian Church. She is a phenomenal pastor. She's also a phenomenal artist. If you're at Ridglea, you know the art on our bulletin each week is the art that she creates. And so she's going to talk to us a little bit about what art can do, the gifts that art can bring to this world of chaos and to our faith. So join us next Wednesday then for that. And then the following week, June 3rd, we will have Pastor Law, Reverend Verzola Law, who is the pastor at Northway Christian Church, who will talk to us about what it looks like to be justice seekers and to be the church in this time. And so we're really excited for the start of this series. If you have folks that you really want to hear from, people that you want to ask us to ask questions to, people you think can help guide us and what it means to be church in this time, let us know. Email the church office, comment on here, let us know, and we'll be sure to ask and invite those folks to join us. Let's see. Anyone have any questions? I don't think I saw any. Pastor Sarah, you just answered it all so well the first time.
Thank you so much, Allison, for making this happen. This has been such a delight to chat with you on some really big, important things.
We're thrilled you're here, and we're thrilled all of you who are here, who are watching wherever you're watching, or who may be watching us after this live stream, but when it's recorded, it'll be on Facebook and on YouTube, so you're welcome to watch it there. And I'm so grateful for the ways that each and every one of you are living your faith in this time. The world needs you and the light of God that shines in and through you now more than ever. The world needs your hope. The world needs that light of God's love. The world needs that voice of God's justice that comes through you. And so thank you for sharing it. Thank you for being it. Know that you're not alone. As Pastor Sarah shared, God is with you now and will never leave you. We are so grateful for you, and have a great night. Bye. Bye, guys. Sure.